You're listening to All Things Investing, the podcast that makes money talk simple, smart, and actionable. Whether you're just getting started or leveling up your portfolio, we've got you covered with tips, strategies, and no-fluff advice. Let's grow your wealth, one episode at a time.
Step right up. Have you heard the promises? Make money while you sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Effortless cash flow. Dump your job and live the laptop dream. If you've been online for more than 5 minutes, I guarantee you've seen it.
It's everywhere.
And if you're like me, you probably wondered, okay, but what is actually real in all that hype?
It's a concept surrounded by, a tremendous amount of noise and often confusion. Passive income is one of those ideas that everyone talks about, but defining it realistically, that can be tricky.
Totally. And that's exactly why we're diving in today. We've pulled together a stack of material to really cut through all that.
Got to the core of it.
Exactly. Our mission for you, the listener, is to walk away from this deep dive with, a rock-solid understanding of what passive income truly is. Well, it's definitely not passive income, and how to spot potential red flags. And most importantly, a much clearer roadmap for how you might realistically build legitimate streams to enhance your financial security.
It's really about moving past the fantasy and getting to the practical reality of this whole wealth-building approach.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What's the foundational truth about passive income? What does the core definition really mean?
At its heart, based on our sources, passive income is money you earn with minimal ongoing effort or active participation.
Minimal. Okay.
That word minimal is absolutely the key. It's the crucial distinction. Anyone promising zero effort is almost certainly selling a dream that just doesn't align with reality.
Minimal, not zero. Huh. That already feels like it reframes everything I see online.
It should. I mean, even the IRS has definitions related to this for tax purposes, right? Classifying income from things like rental properties or certain business interests where you aren't heavily involved day to day.
Right.
But for our purposes today, we're looking a bit more broadly at, any income that once established doesn't require you to continuously trade your time directly for money on an ongoing basis.
Like a regular job, basically, where if you stop showing up,
the paycheck stops. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's active income. The core difference with passive income when it's done right is it has momentum.
Momentum, okay.
You put in the initial work or the capital, and the stream continues to generate income even if you step away from actively working on it for a while.
So that upfront work you mentioned, that's significant then. It's not just money appearing out of thin air.
Oh, far from it. This is the part the hype often leaves out completely. Building legitimate passive income streams almost always requires significant upfront active work.
Okay.
Or a substantial initial capital investment. You might spend months, maybe even years, creating something, building a business, or accumulating assets. The passive part, you see, is the ongoing return you get after that initial push.
Right, after the heavy lifting. Can you give us a tangible example from the sources that kind of illustrates that initial push?
Yeah, the example of writing a book is pretty much perfect. The act of researching, writing, editing, finding a publisher, or self-publishing marketing that is incredibly intense, active work, often takes a year or more.
Well, easily. But once the book is published and selling, you can earn royalties for years with relatively minimal ongoing effort compared to the initial creation. That's the passive return on a massive upfront effort.
I see. Okay. So it's not about avoiding work. It's about doing work that continues to pay you long after the initial labor is done.
Precisely. And that concept, of varying levels of effort, it leads us to understand that passive income isn't binary. It's not just either you have it or you don't. It really exists on a spectrum.
A spectrum. Okay, how should we think about that? What are the ends?
Well, you can imagine a line. On one end, you have income that is truly highly passive, requires minimal effort beyond the initial decision.
Okay.
Think investing in broad market index funds or holding very stable government bonds. Once you invest, the dividends or interest come in with virtually no effort from you.
Right.
Now, these generally require more capital upfront and often provide maybe lower rates of return initially. Okay, so very low effort once invested, but maybe needs more cash to start and the returns build kind of slowly. What's in the middle of this spectrum?
The middle involves streams that require periodic attention or oversight, but not constant daily work. Owning rental properties fits here.
Okay.
You're not managing them every hour, but, you'll need to handle maintenance, tenant issues, lease renewals, or maybe building a blog that earns through affiliate marketing or ads.
Yeah.
You need to create content initially, but then periodically update, promote, and optimize it.
Got it. Checks and balances,
Yeah.
some occasional work. And the other end, the less passive side.
That's where you get into things that are sometimes called semi-passive or really business income. This is often a business with systems and employees where you aren't involved in the daily operations, but you still provide strategic direction, leadership, oversight, a franchise owner, for example,
Yeah.
or someone who built an online business with automated processes but still manages the managers.
Okay.
These can offer higher potential returns, but are definitely not hands-off. Thinking about it as a spectrum helps so much because it sets totally different expectations for different strategies, right?
It really does, and it highlights that trade-off. Generally, the more passive a stream is, the more upfront capital it might require, or perhaps the lower the initial return.
Right.
While those requiring more periodic effort can potentially scale faster or generate higher income if managed well.
And speaking of expectations, oh boy, the online world is full of wildly unrealistic ones fueled by myths. We absolutely have to tackle these.
Yeah, these myths are more than just annoying. They actively lead people down unproductive paths and, frankly, make them vulnerable to scams. Let's address some of the biggest ones head on.
Okay. Myth number 1, the granddaddy of them all. Passive income requires no work.
This is flat out false, and it's probably the most damaging myth out there. As we just covered, every legitimate passive income stream requires significant upfront work, ongoing maintenance, or substantial capital just to get started.
That laptop lifestyle you see plastered everywhere online, that's a result of years, maybe decades, of intense work and strategic building. It's not the starting point.
Right. It's showing the finish line, not the marathon.
Okay.
Myth number 2, you can get rich quick with passive income.
Almost never the case. Passive income is really a strategy for building long-term wealth and financial security. Substantial, life-changing passive income streams. They're typically built over years, not months.
Years. Okay. Myth number 3, passive income is risk-free.
Again, completely false. I mean, any investment or business activity carries risk. Stock markets fluctuate, real estate values can drop.
Sure.
Businesses can fail, algorithms change, making your digital product suddenly less visible. Managing risk, usually through diversification, is crucial.
Makes sense. Myth number 4, you need a ton of money to start.
Not necessarily. While some strategies, like significant real estate investment, are capital intensive, others can be started with relatively little money. You're leveraging your skills and time up front instead of cash.
Like what?
Well, building a blog or creating a digital product, for instance. Those can often start with minimal financial investment.
Gotcha. Okay. Myth number 5, passive income will replace your job quickly. Like next month.
Yeah, no. For the vast majority of people, passive income begins as a supplemental stream. It adds cushion, maybe helps you save faster. Replacing a full-time salary typically requires years of consistent effort, smart reinvestment of profits, and scaling your streams significantly. It's a long game.
Okay. So reality check.
Yeah.
It requires work, takes time, it has risks. You might not need a ton of money to start, but scaling usually requires reinvestment, and it's a marathon, not a sprint, to replace a job. That clears the air considerably.
It does. And understanding the reality makes it easier to spot what passive income is definitely not.
Yes. Let's be absolutely crystal clear about this. What gets peddled as passive income but just isn't.
Well, top of the list has to be multi-level marketing or MLMs.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how they're pitched, about building a passive downline. Fundamentally, they require constant active recruitment, sales, and management of your team. If you stop working, the income dries up. It's active income, plain and simple.
So not passive. Okay. How about things like day trading stocks? People talk about that.
Very, very active. Day trading requires intense focus, constant market monitoring, rapid decision-making, research. It's literally trading time and skill for potential profit, often under pretty high stress. Not passive at all.
Okay. Freelance work or consulting, even if it's remote and flexible.
Still active income. You are directly exchanging your hours or your project deliverables for payment. Your income is ultimately capped by how much time you can physically work.
Right, and those sketchy push-button systems or automated money machine things you see advertised.
These are almost universally scams. Legitimate automated systems within a business require significant upfront setup, ongoing maintenance, technical troubleshooting, and oversight. There's no magic software that just prints money without any input or management. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, if it sounds too good to be true. Any other examples of things people should steer clear of?
Well, anything promising guaranteed high returns for doing basically nothing, especially in volatile areas like, certain cornies of cryptocurrency, yield farming, or trading. That often requires significant active management, carries extreme risk, or is frankly just designed to pull you into something unsustainable.
Okay.
Also, those really low-paying tasks like filling out online surveys or juggling multiple cashback apps, I mean, yeah, they earn a little, but the constant time input for minimal return, it just doesn't fit the minimal ongoing effort definition of passive income.
The common thread here seems to be either it requires your continuous active doing to earn its trading time directly for money, or it's a straight-up scam preying on that dream of easy money.
Exactly. If it feels too good to be true, or if the income stops the moment you stop performing specific tasks, it's likely not passive income as we're defining it here.
Okay, reality checked, myths busted, red flags identified. Phew. Now for the exciting part. What are some legitimate passive income streams? Understanding, of course, they require that upfront work or capital.
Right. This is where the sources give us some concrete pathways. One of the most widely accessible is investing in dividend-paying stocks or diversified index funds that pay dividends.
Oh.
Once you've done your research and made the investment, companies distribute a portion of their profits to you, usually quarterly, with minimal ongoing effort on your part.
And lots of people might already be doing this through retirement accounts like a 401k or an IRA without even really thinking of it as passive income.
Precisely. Real estate investment is another classic. Owning rental properties. Well, it can be quite hands-on initially and periodically, right? Dealing with tenants, maintenance.
Oh, yeah. Leaky faucets at midnight.
Exactly. But it offers potential for higher returns and some nice tax advantages like depreciation, which essentially lets you reduce your taxable rental income over time. A less active option there is investing in real estate investment trusts or REITs. They're kind of like mutual funds that own properties. You get income without the landlord headaches, though often with somewhat lower returns.
Right. So trade-offs again. What about leveraging creative skills? You mentioned books earlier.
Intellectual property is huge now, largely thanks to digital platforms. This includes royalties from books, sure, but also online courses, music, software, or selling digital products like templates, stock photos, design assets.
Okay.
You put in that significant creative effort up front, and then you can potentially earn income as copies are sold or licensed over time with minimal additional work.
Build once, sell it potentially forever. That really fits the model, doesn't it?
It does. Peer-to-peer lending platforms allow you to lend money to individuals or small businesses and earn interest. It's more passive than running your own lending operations, certainly, but it does require some monitoring of your portfolio. And it carries credit risk the borrower won't pay back.
Right. Risk again. And for something very low risk, though, probably lower return, too.
High-yield savings accounts and certificates of deposit, CDs,
Yeah.
you earn interest just for keeping money deposited. It's truly passive and very safe. Good for funds you need accessible or just want to protect from market volatility.
Simple and safe.
Yeah.
And the semi-passive business route we talked about.
Yeah, owning a business that has robust systems and a strong management team in place, like certain franchises or well-structured online businesses. You're not involved in the day-to-day grind, but you provide strategic oversight. It's definitely less passive than pure investment, but can offer significant income potential if done right.
That's a great range of possibilities, really, from investing to creating to building actual systems. But let's really ground this. What does the actual process of building one or more of these look like for someone listening? How does it usually play out?
Well, what's fascinating here, and maybe counterintuitive, is that building passive income isn't usually an alternative to having skills or working hard. It's often a result of leveraging those things effectively.
How so? What do you mean?
Think about it. The most common path for people successfully building substantial passive income is they first excel in their active income career.
Oh, okay.
That provides the capital to invest. It often provides the specific skills needed to create valuable intellectual property or build a business, and it builds the credibility to attract opportunities. They essentially use their active income to fund the building of passive streams.
Wow. So your job isn't the enemy you're trying to escape. It's often the engine that fuels your passive income journey, at least initially.
Exactly. And you have to be really realistic about the timeline. In the first year, maybe year two, you're typically in the investment phase, putting in significant time, effort, or money. and likely seeing very little return, maybe even negative return initially.
Right. Paying your dues.
Then, years 2 through 5, let's say, if you're consistent, you'll likely start seeing meaningful income, but probably not enough to replace your job yet. It's usually years 5 through 10, or even longer, depending on the strategy and how much you reinvest, before passive income becomes truly substantial and potentially life-changing.
5 to 10 years for it to become substantial. Wow. That really hammers home that this is not a get-rich-quick thing at all.
It really does.
Yeah.
And that upfront work, it is frequently underestimated. Writing that online course might take a solid year of evenings and weekends. Building a portfolio of rental properties means years of saving down payments, searching for good deals, dealing with initial renovations or tenant turnovers. It's a grind.
And even once it's producing income, you mentioned earlier, it's not totally set it and forget it.
No, that's another big misconception. You need to monitor how your investments or assets are performing. Are they meeting your goals? You need to adjust your strategy based on market conditions or changes in your field.
Right.
You have to deal with issues that inevitably arise: a roof leak on a rental, a change in platform rules that affects your digital product sales, an underperforming investment needing rebalancing. It requires consistent attention, though ideally, yes, not daily labor.
So consistent effort, but shifting from actually doing the core work to more managing and optimizing the system.
Precisely. It's a different kind of work, but it's still work.
Okay. Before someone listening gets too excited and dives in head first, let's run through some of the most common mistakes people make so you can avoid them.
Yeah, this raises an important question. What trips people up most often when trying to build passive income? Our sources highlight a few key pitfalls.
All right, mistake number 1, putting all your eggs in one basket. Seems obvious, but
But people do it. The solution is diversification. Don't invest solely in one stock or one rental property or rely entirely on one single digital product. Spread your efforts and capital across different types of assets and strategies. It helps mitigate risk if one area takes a hit.
makes total sense. Mistake number 2, expecting immediate results. We just talked about this.
Exactly. And as we just discussed, this takes time. Avoid disappointment by setting realistic timelines. Understand you're building something for the long haul. And maybe celebrate the small milestones along the way to keep motivation up.
Good tip. Okay, mistake number 3, neglecting to reinvest profits.
This is huge. The magic of wealth building, especially long-term, is compounding. A major mistake is taking all the passive income out immediately, especially early on, instead of reinvesting a significant portion back into growing your streams. Reinvestment is what really accelerates your progress.
Let your money make money. Got it. Mistake number 4, ignoring taxes. Ugh.
Yeah, nobody loves thinking about taxes, but different passive income streams are taxed differently. You need to understand the implications. Avoid costly surprises later by consulting with a qualified tax professional who has experience with different income types. Planning ahead here can save you significant money down the line. Don't guess.
Definitely worth a professional fee, I imagine. Okay, mistake number 5, falling for scams. Back to the hype.
This goes back to spotting those red flags we discussed. If it sounds too good to be true, especially promises of zero effort, guaranteed high returns, or instant wealth, it is almost certainly a scam. Do thorough research. Be skeptical before investing any time or money.
Quick break. If you're enjoying all things investing, be sure to follow, rate, and share this episode with a friend who needs to start investing smarter. Got questions? We might answer them in the next episode. Now, back to the show.
Trust your gut. Do your homework. And finally, mistake number 6, not tracking performance.
Yes, you absolutely must keep detailed records. Track your initial costs, any ongoing expenses, the time you're investing, and the actual income generated for each stream. You need data.
Why is that so critical?
Because if you don't measure it, you can't manage it effectively. You can't optimize it. And you won't really know if a strategy is truly working for you or if it's just become a time sink with poor returns. Tracking isn't just for taxes, it's your feedback loop for improvement.
Excellent points. Tracking is key. All right, armed with all this reality, all these potential pitfalls, how should someone listening right now start thinking about building their passive income strategy? Where do they actually begin?
The very first step, before anything else, is an honest self-assessment. A real hard look at your current situation. How much money can you realistically invest or set aside right now? How much time can you genuinely dedicate each week or month to building something new? What skills do you already have that could be leveraged? What's your actual comfort level with risk? Be honest with yourself.
An honest inventory of resources and temperament.
Okay.
Then what?
Then educate yourself thoroughly on the one or maybe two passive income strategies that seem like the best fit based on that assessment. Read books, take reputable courses, maybe even talk to people who are successfully doing it and learn from their real-world experiences. Understand the actual effort and challenges involved before you commit.
Knowledge is absolutely the foundation here, isn't it?
Absolutely. Third, start small and plan to scale gradually. Don't try to build a massive real estate portfolio overnight or quit your job to write a book without a solid plan and some savings. Use your active income as a stable base to fund your initial steps into passive income. This manages your risk significantly.
Build it pebble by pebble, not try to lift the whole mountain at once. I like that.
Exactly. Fourth, focus initially. Trying to build 5 different passive income streams all at the same time is usually a recipe for getting overwhelmed and making very little progress on any of them. Pick 1 or 2 that genuinely excite you and align with your resources, and put your energy there first to build some real momentum.
Concentration builds power. Makes sense.
And as you start building, 5th step, create systems, even simple ones at first. Use spreadsheets to track your income and expenses. Use calendars to remind you of maintenance tasks or review periods. Look for automation tools that are appropriate to your chosen strategy. Systems are what make the minimal ongoing effort part genuinely manageable down the road.
Systems are the scaffolding for the passive aspect.
Okay. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, be patient and persistent. Building meaningful passive income takes years, not months. You will face setbacks. Things won't always go exactly as planned. You might even fail at one strategy and have to pivot. The key is to learn from those experiences, adjust your approach, and keep taking consistent action over the long term.
Patience and persistence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels like the secret sauce that connects all the dots we've talked about.
They really are fundamental. And, it's probably worth taking just a moment to touch on the psychology behind the desire for passive income. Why are people so drawn to it?
Yeah, good point. What's going on under the surface there?
Often, the deep attraction comes from, dissatisfaction with the current job or the traditional 9-to-5 work model. The idea of passive income represents freedom, flexibility, escaping the daily grind.
The dream of ditching the alarm clock for good.
Right. But here's a critical counterpoint. Passive income is not a magic solution for simply hating your job. In many ways, building and managing passive streams requires more discipline, more self-motivation, and more initiative than a regular job.
How so?
Because there's no boss looking over your shoulder, there are no external deadlines forcing you to act, there's no guaranteed paycheck if you just decide not to do the necessary work that week or month. You have to be your own driver.
That's a really powerful point. You have to be your own boss, even for the passive part.
Absolutely. And for some people, the pursuit of passive income can even become a form of, procrastination, using the excitement of building something new as a way to avoid addressing fundamental issues with their existing active income situation. Like maybe needing to negotiate for a better salary, or change careers, or develop higher value skills in their current field.
Trying to build a side door instead of fixing the main entrance. That's insightful.
Yeah. The healthiest view, really, is to see passive income as a complement to having valuable skills and providing real value in the marketplace, rather than an escape from it. Many of the most successful passive income builders were already highly successful in their active careers first, leveraging that success, that knowledge, and that capital.
That reframes it completely. It's not necessarily for people who don't want to work. It's often built by people who know how to work effectively and leverage their success.
Precisely. And, of course, technology has dramatically reshaped this whole landscape in recent years.
Right. How has tech changed the game for passive income?
Well, it's massively expanded opportunities, particularly for intellectual property and digital products. The internet and platforms like Amazon, Etsy, YouTube, online course sites like Udemy or Teachable. They've made it possible to create content or products once and sell them globally with minimal distribution costs.
Yeah, democratization of access, really.
Yeah.
Making it easier to reach customers anywhere.
Absolutely. And automation tools have certainly made managing certain streams more efficient. Think automated investment platforms, software for managing rental properties, tools for scheduling and publishing content online. These definitely help facilitate that minimal ongoing effort part we talked about.
So tech enables the passive part better. Makes it easier to manage.
It does, but it also creates new challenges. Because it's easier for you to create and distribute something, it's also easier for everyone else, too. That leads to much higher competition in many areas now.
The double-edged sword.
Exactly. To succeed today, you often need to offer really unique value, build a strong personal or company brand, and find ways to genuinely stand out from the crowd.
More opportunity, but also more competition. Makes sense.
And the rapid pace of technological change means passive streams that rely heavily on specific platforms or technologies can become outdated or less profitable much faster than in the past. Maybe an algorithm changes, a platform folds. This puts a real premium on staying adaptable and continuously learning.
Adaptability again. That seems to be a key theme running through all this. Now, something crucial we absolutely need to cover. Taxes. It's not the most exciting part, maybe, but you just can't ignore it.
This raises that important question again. How does all this passive income actually affect your bottom line after the government takes its slice? Tax implications are complex. They vary significantly depending on the type of stream and where you live. Different income types are taxed very differently.
Can you give us an example of how it varies, just briefly?
Sure. Income from qualified dividends on stocks, for instance, is often taxed at lower long-term capital gains rates, which can be significantly less than your ordinary income tax rate from a job.
Okay.
Real estate income can benefit from deductions like depreciation, which, as we mentioned, can lower your taxable income substantially even if the property is cash flowing. Royalties might have their own specific tax rules. It's definitely not one size fits all.
So the specific strategy you choose has direct tax consequences that you need to understand up front.
Absolutely. And understanding subtle differences in definitions, like the IRS distinction between passive activity income, like from rentals where you aren't considered a real estate professional, versus portfolio income, like stock dividends or interest, actually matters for things like whether you can deduct losses against other income. It gets complicated pretty quickly.
So what's the main takeaway for the listener here regarding taxes?
Simple. Work with a qualified tax professional, someone who understands passive income strategy specifically. The tax code around this stuff is complex and always changing. A good professional can help you navigate it legally, potentially save you much more in taxes than their fee costs, and help you plan strategically for the future. Don't try to guess your way through it or rely on generic advice.
Excellent, essential advice. Okay, finally, let's look forward a bit. Any major trends shaping the future of passive income that we should be aware of? What's coming down the pike?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, several trends seem likely to influence the landscape moving forward. The continued growth of the digital economy and the creator economy means intellectual property monetization books, courses, digital products, etc., will likely become even more common and sophisticated.
Makes sense.
AI and automation, that's a big one. It could create entirely new opportunities for passive income through automated systems or even AI-assisted content creation. But it could also potentially disrupt existing streams pretty significantly.
Right, both creation and disruption from AI. Interesting.
Yep. The blurring lines from remote work and the gig economy might lead to more blended active-passive models where people combine project work with scalable digital offerings.
Yep.
Emerging technologies like blockchain and DeFi could theoretically create new forms of passive income, like through staking or liquidity providing, but these are still very speculative and carry high risks and regulatory uncertainty for now, definitely not for beginners.
More complexity, maybe more risk there. Anything else?
Demographic shifts, like aging populations in many developed countries needing retirement income, will likely increase demand for reliable, understandable, passive income strategies. And maybe a growing awareness of global issues could drive more interest in environmentally or socially focused investments, impact investing, that also aim to generate financial returns passively.
Wow, lots of moving parts looking ahead. What's the core principle for navigating that kind of future?
Stay informed about the trends, absolutely. But anchor your strategy to the timeless principles we've discussed. Focus on providing real value, manage your risk appropriately through diversification and understanding, and maintain realistic expectations about the effort and time involved. Adaptability, as you said, will be absolutely key.
That brings us full circle beautifully. Okay, so to quickly summarize everything we've unpacked in this deep dive.
Passive income is definitely a real and potentially powerful concept for building wealth. But crucially, it is not a shortcut or an alternative to work ethic and providing value. It requires significant upfront effort, potentially capital, ongoing management and attention, and a healthy dose of patience.
Right. It's best approached as a long-term strategy for increasing financial security and freedom, built consistently over time, stream by stream.
And the most effective path, it seems, often involves leveraging your active income, your existing skills, and your time to build one or two streams initially, then scaling them gradually, creating systems to manage the passive aspect more efficiently, and ideally diversifying across different types of streams over time.
Hopefully, this deep dive has given you listening a much more realistic and actionable understanding, cutting through all that online noise to show you what's genuinely possible and, just as importantly, what pitfalls to watch out for.
Definitely.
So, if you're feeling inspired to explore this further for yourself, what are some concrete first steps you can take right now, like today or this week?
Okay, 5 quick action steps. First, take that honest audit of your current situation. Money, time, skills, risk tolerance, really understand your starting point.
Got it. Number 2.
Choose just one or maybe 2 passive income strategies that genuinely align with that assessment and your interests. Don't try to boil the ocean. Focus.
Okay.
Third, dedicate yourself to thoroughly educating yourself on those chosen strategies. Learn the real mechanics, the real challenges from reliable, credible sources, not just the hype.
Crucial. 4th.
Start small. Pick one specific, manageable action within your chosen strategy and actually begin building. And keep meticulous records of everything: costs, income, time from day one. Track it.
Track everything. And 5th.
And 5th, perhaps most important, commit to patience and persistence. Understand this is a long-term game. Consistency will be your greatest asset. Don't give up after the first hurdle.
Fantastic. It really sounds like building passive income isn't about finding a magic way out of work, but finding a different, more leveraged way for your work and your resources to keep working for you over time.
It's shifting from purely linear income trading time for money towards building assets that have exponential potential.
Exponential potential. I love that. That's a fantastic way to put it. Well, that's a wrap on this deep dive into the world of passive income. Thank you so much for joining us.
And maybe as you think about your own path forward, consider this. How might the very definition of passive continue to shift and evolve in our rapidly changing technological and economic landscape? And how crucial will that adaptability we kept mentioning be for building lasting wealth in the future? Something to ponder.
Thanks for tuning in to All Things Investing. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a tip that could boost your financial future. Follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and wherever you get your money advice. Until next time, keep investing in yourself. Financial disclaimer. The information provided on the All Things Investing podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as financial, investment, tax, or legal advice. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor or other qualified professional before making any investment decisions. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, and do not constitute official recommendations. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance is not indicative of future results. By listening to this podcast, you agree that the host and associated parties are not responsible for any financial decisions you make based on the content provided.